How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the movie Castle, and today we're going to be continuing looking at Creepshow Season 2. Really fun show, and I'm definitely going to, take a look at every single episode over the next couple weeks. We have Season 2, Episode 2 this time around, Dead and Breakfast / Pesticide. This is from 2021 and was directed by Carolyn, and the second segment was directed by Greg Nicotero. As far as who this stars this time around, we have Josh McDermitt, who plays Eugene on The Walking Dead, and we also have Keith David, who you horror geeks probably know from John Carpenter's They Live and Requiem for a Dream, but tons of other things as well. Really cool to see an actor like this show up. And both these stories are pretty good. They both fall really well into the Creepshow formula, and you kind of know a little bit how they're going to play out, but they do have a unique setup each time around, and it's, the old formula, something new thrown in, leading to Creepshow wackiness. And I had fun with both these episodes. Neither of them were as good as the Evil Dead segment from last episode, but overall, if you want that Creepshow craziness, there's plenty in here. So these are some fun ones, and I definitely say check this one out. But let's go ahead and talk a bit about each of the two stories. I'm going to cover the plot, but I'm not going to do any major spoilers. But I do want to say my piece on a few plot points and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what the stories are about. So yeah, no major spoilers. But we open up with Dead and Breakfast. And way back in time, we see this woman killed people in her house, but it's kind of a bigger boarding house, a big house with lots of rooms that people can rent for the night. And it's a little H.H. Holmes, not as elaborate as he got, but, trapdoors, killing people in hotels, that sort of thing. We flash forward to the future, and I think it's the great-grandkids, this brother and sister team, and they're running the hotel right now, and they're using the fact that it was a murder site to drum up publicity. They're like, hey, come stay in our haunted hotel. But the thing is, even though it's a murder site, it's not super haunted, and in turn, they kind of have to play it up. The brother has like a headless guy costume, the fake shoulders and the fake head up there, and they try to scare people, but they're not really that great at it, and people are leaving disappointed, and they don't really know what to do when suddenly they stumble across this true crime blogger, and they send her an invitation. Hey, you like looking at true crime stuff, you should take a look at our murder hotel. And the crime blogger's like, okay, it's kind of a deep cut, but I'll check it out. She goes over there, and they find that whenever she gives them good attention, because, she's broadcasting a bunch of this stuff, the rentals will go up, but then if it looks bad, the rental reservations might get canceled and go down again. So it all depends on how impressed they can get this vlogger with their hotel that might save their business, So they're going in, they're trying to impress her, but one thing she opens up is she says, hey, have you ever considered that maybe all this didn't really happen? Your great-grandmother confessed to the police, but no one ever found any of the bodies. Maybe she was just a crazy old woman. And this really upsets the sister. The sister goes, you can't take this away from me. My great-grandmother was one of America's first female serial killers. She's a cultural icon, So that's starting to, that's crossing a line with her, and you're seeing, her start to shake. So they're, of course, on opposite paths, and they have to convince this vlogger that there's really something crazy going on here, and we as an audience have to wonder, okay, is there really something crazy going on here, or is this just this world that the sister's built up in her head? And it does lead to Creepshow craziness, of course. And overall, this was a really funny one, just seeing the brother and sister, try to build up such a creepy legacy. You do get some fun jokes, she goes in and she loses connection on her phone, and they're like, oh yeah, great-grandmother lined the walls with lead to block out the screaming of her murder victims. And the vlogger's like, oh, that's terrible. Do you have Wi-Fi? So some good lines like that. You know, they cook her bacon and eggs for breakfast, and she's like, oh, I'm vegan, I think meat is murder. And they're like, well, I thought you liked murder. And she's like, well, only for people, not for animals, you know? So there are a few good back and forth jokes. There are a few parts that aren't quite right, you know, like, she's a vlogger, and it's not near as bad as so many other times when Hollywood tries to do YouTubers and vloggers. They come off as really cheesy and not right. But she does a pretty good job. She acts right. You know, it's an actual young person who actually understands this world. But there are a few little things like, she's like, hey, let's explore the house and see if we can find any of this rumored H.H. Holmes style stuff. And she's looking around pulling up floorboards and finds like a hidden safe in the walls. But she's not recording any of this. You know, you think you're a YouTuber, you're gonna make a video like, hey, we're exploring this, you know, murder house. You think you'd play it up for the camera, but they're exploring the house looking for murder stuff, and she's not recording any of it? Like just little bits like that don't quite work. But overall, a really fun story, brings out the comedy, and also a really good haunted house slash hotel. And, you know, you do get the old cool imagery of people being murdered with axes and stuff. Really did feel like a modern Tales from the Crypt episode or something, so that was really fun. And moving along to the next one, Pesticide. Pesticide, you get this exterminator named King, and he's like, I'm the king of exterminators, you know? And I have to wonder, Creepshow created by Stephen King, is this, you know, is this a little reference there? But anyway, you see this guy, and this is Josh McDermitt from Walking Dead, and he's like, you know, cleaning up this therapist house and killing all her bugs, and he barges in the middle of a therapy session asking to get paid, and of course, he was rude to the therapist wanting to get paid right in the middle of the session, so she's rude to him, and the two have a feud, which leads to him pouring a cup of cockroaches inside her house. So this establishes quite quickly off the bat that he's a little bit of a scumbag, and we soon find out he's quite a bit more of a scumbag. So this guy, he's kind of a lowlife. His extermination business isn't doing that great. His van's really run down, and he suddenly gets a call. He goes to this old abandoned building where he meets Keith David, and Keith David goes, I have a problem for you, and this could lead, if you do this to me, I'll give you a bunch of money, and you'll be the exterminator in these new apartments that I'm going to build here. And he goes, okay, you want me to clean out this old abandoned building so you can destroy it? And he goes, yes, but I don't want you to exterminate bugs. And he leads him over, and he shows him this whole courtyard full of homeless people, and he goes, I want you to exterminate them. And he's like, whoa, that I can't do that, it's a line. And of course, he opens up a briefcase full of money, and he's like, oh, well, maybe, I mean, you know, so he tempts him into that. You know, Keith David, if you've seen Requiem for a Dream, quite good at tempting people into doing pretty dark things. So he kills them, and then you get this bug-themed, guilt-ridden nightmare section, and a lot of crazy, over-the-top Creepshow elements in here. And it's a great way to take, you know, a theme. It's something people are talking about. There is a homeless crisis, and then finding some, you know, dark and messed up way to turn it into a horror story, and then leading to giant crazy bugs attacking people, you know? So it's a really cool way to tell a modern story. Even if it just goes into Creepshow silliness, there's nothing wrong with Creepshow silliness. And the bugs, you know, from the crazy sequences are really big. I think they're CG, but they made them look a little bit like old school models at times. So even though they're CG, they do feel a lot like the old way they used to do this stuff. And to see, you know, it's very, like I said, very Tales from the Crypt like the last one, where you get some guy who's a bad dude, and he did something really bad, so of course the supernatural forces are going to come after him, and, you know, giant, crazy, big bugs attacking people. Like I said, you kind of know where this is going. It has a different setup, but once it gets there, you know where it's going, but it's still really fun and crazy. And then the ending part, I won't spoil it obviously, but the very, very ending of this, it does just take it up that extra little notch into such a silly, crazy ending where you're like, oh, okay, that happened, that's weird. You know, so overall really fun, and overall I did like both these episodes. You know, a different setup at the beginning, and with the second story you definitely knew where it was going. The first one you kind of knew, but you were, you know, kind of guessing, was it real, was it not, so there was kind of a mystery there. And the first one I'd say is probably better, but the second one is definitely really enjoyable too. Good, goofy Creepshow stuff. That first one though, thinking about the mystery, trying to figure it out, there's more stuff to guess and think about, so that was probably the better one, but both of these are pretty good. Not as good as the Evil Dead segment last time, but still really good, and I'm glad to see, you know, this is Season 2, we're keeping on par with Season 1, which is good, because, you know, sometimes second seasons are a bit of a dip in quality, but we're staying good, and I have high hopes for 3 through 5. I think there's only 5 this time around, but high hopes for this series, and I'm really wanting to see what the rest have. So overall, I did really like this episode. To everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You're really helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Creepshow playlist if you want to see all my reviews for the past episodes, Season 1 and then Episode 1 of this season. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.